since I'm new here, I should probably introduce myself. My name's Ben, and the only thing I love more than my beloved football team Liverpool is Liara from Mass Effect. Just look at that face. What a babe. I've been excited to see what game I'll be reviewing first for Invicta, and so my curiosity was piqued when I found out that my first review will be about the game of Bird in Cage, an atmospheric point-and-click choice-based game set to a symphonic metal concept album based off Beauty and the Beast. Intriguing, I thought. Oh, how wrong I was. And the best place to start is the soundtrack, since very early on it becomes the central focus of the game. There are epic guitar refrains and soaring vocals galore, but as a fair warning, if you're not a fan of metal or rock music, you probably won't be a fan of this game. The music is so entwined with the narrative that it's not just in the background, so if you're not a fan of it, it really disconnects you from the game. My personal opinion is that the soundtrack was okay, nothing too amazing, but of course other people will have differing views. The soundtrack in-game tells the story of Gitta, a young girl who suffers with some form of anxiety and so needs regular MacGuffin drug juice to keep her from hallucinating and panicking. This drug is built up as a central focus throughout the opening, and so it was rather frustrating to see this plot thread completely dropped for the majority of the game. There are no drugs to be found throughout most of the levels. Whether that was down to me not exploring enough or running out of time, it is quite difficult to tell. Indeed, time becomes one of the most annoying factors in this game, as every level has a timer at the bottom, counting down to the end of the song that's playing. This becomes infuriating throughout the game, because it means you regularly run out of time while trying to solve the point-and-click puzzle that is presented in front of you. I can't count how many times I was on the verge of solving a puzzle only to have the time allocated to me run out and count it as a fail. If you're going to do puzzles, don't put a timer on them. Rule number 1. Rule number 2 also applies to this game and its other gameplay element. For the love of all that is holy, give adequate time to your QuickTime events. Throughout the game, most of the things that Gitta is attempting to do are resolved by QuickTime button presses, either by furiously mashing the button, holding the button, or clicking it. And time again, I failed these button prompts because by the time I had found the corresponding button on the keyboard, the QTE had failed. Whether this would work better on a controller or is down to my terrible knowledge of keyboard layouts is unsure, but it added another layer of frustration to my playthrough. The graphics on show are not the most amazing in the world, but for an indie game are more than passable. The environments are quite plain and sparse, but don't distract too much from the game's central focus. Not that you'll be spending too much time exploring anyway, for fear of the timer running out and forcing you down a narrative path you didn't want to take. As I said earlier, the soundtrack in-game is loosely based off the story of Beauty and the Beast. I say loosely because I don't remember that part in Disney's classic where Beast hands Belle a 9mm to gun down a bunch of police officers. For the most part, the story works, with Gitta being led down a darker path more and more by this game's Beast, a character called Brez. The path you take, however, is completely your own choice, as the game offers you branching paths throughout for Gitta to either spiral into a dark future or reject Brez and his way of doing things. It culminates in quite an effective ending, which I won't spoil here, but had me invested enough to continue playing. That didn't last for long, however, as with a runtime of just over 3.5 hours, this game is short. Its lifespan can be extended by replaying the game and making different choices, but you'll do this 1 or 2 times before it starts to become stale. As of this review, the price isn't listed on Steam, but if it's any more than £15, there are much better experiences you can get for the same amount of money. That's not to say some of the elements here don't work. There are some design choices made, such as the scrawled writing around the environments depicting Gitta's thoughts, or characters randomly bursting into song every 5 minutes like they're auditioning for a remake of Glee, that really work, and definitely make the game feel intriguing and dark. Unfortunately, these moments are few and far between, and the clunky controls, numerous wall-sticking bugs — seriously, I failed at least 3 levels because I got stuck in the wall and couldn't move — and topsy-turvy soundtrack mean I can't give this game any higher than a 5 out of 10. It is an interesting concept, but the execution of ideas is often poorly done and wastefully executed. For a 3.5-hour experience, you can do much better. I've been Ben for Invicta. Thank you very much for watching this video. Give us a like and a subscribe while you're here for more gaming goodness, and follow us on social media for all the latest video game content. See you next time.